Thank you, friends. Shabbat Shalom. Greetings to you all. It's always a pleasure to see you. Hope you've had a fantastic week. The weather's gotten a little cold again, but, at least we now have spring and we are out of winter. I hope you all celebrated your mothers last week. And I hope all you mothers were celebrated. Remember, people do not have to be alive to be celebrated or honored in your life. A part of their spirit, their influence, their memory, their souls stay with you and always will. Now, Ellen, I did not know that it would have been your mother's and your brother's birthdays, and I'm sure that's hard for you. But I know you feel them and see them and smile for them. Just as I am sure the anniversary of Mo's passing was difficult for everyone in his family. Loss is difficult. We can always come up with more things we wish we had said. So say them, because spirit never dies. Now, Catherine the Great said, I praise loudly, I blame softly. Something perhaps we can all learn to do. And friends, I learned a long time ago that in communicating, one needs to make I statements, not you statements, and that it's not what you say, but how you say it. Now, if either or both of those statements are true, and they are, then what you're about to read in this parsha fails on all counts. Friends, the Torah is a great piece of work. And great works inspire great things because they inspire great thoughts. And friends, as I've said before, and I will say again, thoughts are our things. Our thoughts set in motion great action. It is our kavanot, our intention, that sets the world in motion. You have an infinite capacity to create. If you wondered what it meant that man was created in God's image, you need wonder no more. We are connected by our thoughts, not our actions. Action is simply the manifestation of what you set in motion. It is the final part of the creation process. We do feel each other's pain, each other's joy, each other's soul. We have reached an ending. And to end Leviticus, we have another double parsha. And for many, they can't say goodbye to rules and regulations quickly enough. And in its final few verses, we see that the final chapter is best regarded as an appendix to Leviticus, focusing on a variety of laws pertaining to voluntary offerings and taxed obligations to the sanctuary. These monetary issues, while perhaps necessary for the maintenance of the sanctuary, are not necessary for the audience of the book to contemplate. And so, my friends, I am sure that they were deliberately tacked on at the very end. Leviticus is a design for an organized society of people who help one another, who do not intentionally injure one another, who respect one another's property and relationships, who regularly assemble to celebrate together, who acknowledge their errors and atone for them, who regard life in humans and in animals as sacred, who pursue purity in various forms, who respect law, and who are utterly loyal to one God. It belongs after Numbers, not before it. And so it is against the background of this design that the book of Numbers must be understood. Because people like movement, and people like stories. People identify with stories, with characters, with events, with identifiable markers, not with a book of rules and laws. We are about to say goodbye to static motion, as the wilderness generation is truly about to become their namesake, as they begin the 11-day journey to the promised land, an 11-day journey that took 40 years. Bihar bechukotai, in the mountain by my statutes. By his truth I can be upright, by his strength I do endure. By his power I've been lifted, in his love I am secure. He bought me with a price, freed me from the pit, full of emptiness and wrath, and the fire that burns in it. I've been saved by the blood of the Lamb. All of those statements will be a part of this double parsha. This double parsha begins by talking about the Sabbath year for land. Land needs a ceasing, a break, a time to recharge like us. And then presents the incredible idea of the Jubilee year, in which the land reverts back to its original owners. And it ends with an unbelievably strange list of blessings and curses. Leviticus 25:25. Should your brother come to ruin and sell his holding, his redeemer, who is related to him, shall come and redeem what his brother sold. And should a man have no redeemer, and his hand attain, and find enough for its redemption, he shall reckon the years it was sold and give back the difference to the man to whom he sold, and he shall go back to his holding. In the law of the Jubilee, my friends, God commands that every 50 years, all property is to return to the original owners. And this is fascinating, simply fascinating, because they're still at the foot of the mountain. So there is no land, and the land that does not exist has not even been distributed yet. This appears to be an economic program, well after the fact, that was designed to prevent the feudal system, common in most of the ancient Near East, from developing in Israel. That is, it functioned to prevent the establishment of a class of wealthy landowners at the top of the economic scale and a mass of landless peasants at the bottom. Wow, the further we go, the more things stay the same. This whole idea about the return of land to its original, rightful owner is incredible on its own. But it was the term used, my friends, redeemer. What a powerful concept. To have someone stand as your redeemer. Like the powerful prayer said the night before Yom Kippur, calling for any who will stand as a redeemer for your atonement. Now, we had talked before about how the shift in law to account for more ethics and morals, was taking place in this book. And it's not just about the ritual anymore. So the law takes on this whole new dimension as it does become an ethical law. Now, an unfortunate Israelite need not feel degraded to be poor, nor ashamed to be pitied. Economic suffering is treated as a reality of life, as it still is, which one is required by law to remedy. The poor man can know that his brother is helping him because the system requires brothers to help one another, and that if the shoe were on the other foot, he would do the same for his brother. Wouldn't that be great to see man acting like that again? And friends, the land shall not be sold permanently, because as God says, the land is mine, because you are aliens and visitors with me. We need to understand, we do not own anything. We are merely caretakers of all that we have in this lifetime, all that we've been given. Even for the land, there is the underlying concept that we do not own it. It will be there long after we are gone, just as the truth will be here long after we have twisted its meaning. And when I read this parsha, I think of one of the things said by the great pharaoh Amenhotep IV, probably one of the most interesting pharaohs of all, whose name was changed to Akhenaten, meaning effective for the Aten. And the Aten was conceived as the Lord, the creator, giver of life and nurturing spirit of the world. Aten cared for every creature and created all countries and all people. Now, Akhenaten was the father of Tutankhaten, who subsequently changed his name to Tutankhamen, King Tut, after the fall of the monotheistic Atenist religion and the reinstatement of the old multiple gods of Egypt. Now, there are many theories that Akhenaten may have been the historical Moses, and his writings certainly point to his monotheism. And the Exodus may have simply been his move of the capital to build a new one, but that's a whole other topic. Now, what he said was, the man who has lived in darkness his whole life does not understand the light. He calls it evil because it hurts his eyes. The Torah with its teachings is a book of light, and it can hurt your eyes, so be careful how you look at it. Now, in Leviticus 26:27, we come across possibly one of the strangest lists of blessings and curses of all time. But friends, it opens with a reminder we all need to keep in mind. I am the Lord your God. My Sabbaths you shall keep, and my sanctuary you shall revere. I am the Lord. My Sabbaths you shall keep, and my sanctuary you shall revere. Sacred time and sacred space, my friends. Since the first day of creation, the two things we need to keep in mind, and that keeps coming up again and again. Now, I don't know about you, but I've always been told that God loves us unconditionally. We talked last week about mothers, how mothers love us unconditionally, and that we should practice unconditional love. Something few got, and something very few probably give. Now, if you ever need more proof that this book of laws was a priestly edition, Look no further than this list of blessings and curses. It goes against everything we are taught, but feeds perfectly into the power of the priestly cult. We all know what a conditional statement is. If, then. If I fell in love with you, would you promise to be true and help me understand? Well, there's no helping here. If you do what I say, then these are your blessings. Rain, full crops and much food. The people will dwell securely. There'll be peace in the land. There'll be no one to terrify you. No evil beasts, no enemies. I, God, will live in your midst and walk around like in the days of yore. I shall go about in your midst. You will be my people. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Not bad. But if you don't do what I say, then he will direct panic, consumption, and fever against us. We will sow our seeds in vain. Enemies will eat our food, and God will set his face against us. We will suffer sevenfold all unpleasantries. Pestilence. We will have no satisfaction. That is, God will make sure I can't get no satisfaction. The bizarre and horrific, and you shall eat the flesh of your sons, and the flesh of your daughters you shall eat. He will destroy our cult places and turn towns to ruin. And the pièce de résistance. And you I will scatter among the nations. Exile, my friends, the greatest and most ongoing fear. And the one thing that, the people are still suffering from. See, friends, in the most conditional way possible, God says plainly enough, the people's fate will depend on whether they follow these laws or not. The blessings and curses provide for the eventuality of a variety of essential matters in the realms of nature, human relations, political ones particularly, and divine human relationships. But with that choice, hey, it's a no-brainer. It's based on a statement made in Leviticus 26:12. I shall be God to you, and you will be a people to me. That's the deal. The last blessing of the list echoes what is thought to be the wording of the marriage contract in ancient Israel. I shall be a husband to you, and you will be a wife to me, as well as the adoption ceremony. I shall be a parent to you, and you will be a son or daughter to me. I will be a God to you. Now, the blessings and curses are not rewards and punishments. They are a formal part of the biblical covenant. With parallels in legal contracts of the ancient Near East, they express the outcomes of fulfillment or non-fulfillment of the covenant's terms. Now, people who are faithful to its God and keep the Sabbath and honor its parents, do not steal, will be prosperous and enduring in its land. A people who lose sight of its commitments and values will suffer. Now, I do not think that God is actually conditional, but the priesthood, well, that's another story. And it's interesting to see just where are we based upon, what's the state of humanity these days. Now, once there was a silly old ram. Thought he'd punch a hole in a dam. No one could make that ram scram. He kept butting that dam because he had high hopes. He had high hopes. He had high apple pie in the sky hopes. Friends, keep your hopes high. Do not be afraid of the light. Do not succumb to conditional treatments at any time. The world is sacred, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Friends, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Live free, be free, and honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light, and continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. And remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together. We celebrate each other. We love each other. Thank you all. Love you. See you all next time. Wishes do come true. Bless you all. Shabbat Shalom. Our souls are connected. Take care. See you soon. Bye.